What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to the TB Toycast YouTube channel. And today we are unboxing from Mattel Elite Series 116, the other half of the Hollywood Blondes. What is this, like 2 years in the making? Can't wait for it, though. Love it. The one and only Flyin Brian Pillman. Of course, we just unboxed Stunning Steve last Friday, so 1 week ago. I mentioned before I'm going to try to do that where if I have a tag team, part one, the first member will be 1 week and the second member will be the next week, just so that way there's not a huge gap in between tag team members. I kind of made that mistake with the KWK line. I did Conquistador Uno like 4 months ago, and then Conquistador Dos a couple of weeks ago. It was way too far apart. I'm like, I'm not going to do that again. I'm going to try to keep them a little bit more close together. But of course, I guess it works on this one because I could have waited a couple of months because this was a few years apart. But good on Mattel for making it right, righting a wrong. I'm all about that. I think I mentioned in the Stunning Steve video, I actually did message Steve Ozer about this when the Stunning Steve was announced. I'm like, are we going to get a Flyin Brian? And the same gear, because normally they're in the same wave, or like the next wave, and like nothing was announced or leaked, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what's happening here? So all these years later, they did right the wrong. I can't fault them for that at all. Of course, we got the WCW tag title there. We got the clacker again, just like with Stunning Steve. Extra hands, same gear. I mean, this is perfect. This is a righting a wrong, like I said. I love it, and I know there's been a few complaints on the Flyin Brian head. We'll unbox that. We'll take a better look at it and see what we think here. But of course, we got the classic Hollywood Blondes picture of Brian Pillman there with that awesome, you know what type of eating grin. I try to keep it a little family friendly on here. If you're watching with the kiddos, I do appreciate that. Of course, Elite 116. Stunning Steve was in Elite 81, so it had been a while, obviously. Nice shot of Flyin Brian right there. Pretty cool lineup here for Elite 116. We got of course, Flyin Brian Pillman there. Then a first time in the line, Lexus King, which is actually Brian Pillman Jr. I have that figure. That will be unboxed on the channel as well. Of course, Randy Orton, no stranger to the Elite line. The first time in the line for Jade Cargill, really cool to get that figure. Of course, she actually had an AEW Jazzwares a while back, so but her first time in the Mattel line. Of course, Kevin Owens and AJ Styles also no strangers to the Elite line. So very, very cool here. Of course, says Brian Pillman from Cincinnati, Ohio. Shout out to Travis Fowler, Cincinnati boy right there. Height 6 foot. Well, I don't think he's from Cincinnati, but he's from Ohio. You know what I'm saying. 6 foot tall, 227 pounds. Finisher, Air Pillman. I never recall them ever calling it Air Pillman. Maybe they did. Fact check me. I don't remember. As one half of the WCW Tag Team Champions, the Hollywood Blondes, Flyin Brian Pillman was always ready for lights, camera, action. I think Steve Austin said that exact same thing. WCW Tag Team Champion, WCW Light Heavyweight Champion. Oddly enough, I'm going to point this out right here. I'm almost positive they always spelled it B-L-O-N-D-S, not E-S. That's a nitpick, but I feel like that's how they always spelled it. Maybe I'm wrong, though. I don't know. What do you guys remember? Of course, the Hollywood Blondes, an all-time favorite tag team of mine. Not a long run. I think they started up in the early part of 1993. By the end of 1993, they were already split up in mortal enemies. And, of course, by 1996, both of them, well, actually, in probably 95, early 96, both of them had made appearances in ECW, at different points, obviously. And then by 1996, they're both in the WWF. Of course, initially as the ringmaster, and then Brian Pillman came in at a very weird time in his career, with a terrible injury, and eventually didn't really get to capitalize it early on until, about 1997 when he was starting to get better, but as we know, wasn't really healthy because we obviously lost Brian Pillman in 1997, which is horrible because he was always a favorite of mine, and I hope now that he's back in the Elite family, we get all the Brian Pillman figures. I know they're doing, I believe in the Monday Night Wars line, we've got a Heart Foundation Pillman on the way, which fits the era for sure. So that'll be a cool one to get. I would love another Bengal Tights Pillman. That was always, that's my introduction to Brian Pillman. I remember as a kid always thinking he was so cool because he had the tiger stripe. I didn't know, that was representing the Cincinnati Bengals, but still a really cool figure. And wasn't he also the yellow dog? Fact check that one. I don't know. I don't know for sure, but I feel like he was the yellow dog, which was like this brief moment in time character where he was under a mask and he was like no one knew who the yellow dog was. Oh, his head's not attached. Oh no, this is already gruesome. We have a beheading right here on the TB Toycast YouTube channel. Oh my gosh, the twist tie is so ridiculous. So insane. Okay. Get rid of that. And we got one more around his wrist if I can get rid of. Then we'll be good to go, maybe. But yeah, I don't know if they could pull off the yellow dog. That's, I mean, as deep as the cut as you can get. But we're also getting a John Tenta with half his head shaved, which didn't last long. So maybe a yellow dog's not out of the equation. I do feel like with Steve Ozer nowadays, because I don't know how long he's worked for Mattel, but I don't think he was there back when Pillman was in the line the first time. Again, could be wrong. But I feel like he's more into, like, if we can do it, let's do it. That's his mindset here. And that's what I've heard from other people. So, anyway, oh my gosh, this is a little bit tight on the leg here. I know I've heard some complaints on that. I don't know if this is a Vietnam figure or not. A little stiff on the joints, but we're going to make it work. So a lot of people have complained about the hair. What do you guys think? I mean, it's not perfect, but I never really thought Pillman was like blonde anyway. I always felt like, yeah, it says blonde right there. I'll pull up some images and we'll compare, but I swore it was not like that. I don't know. Take his vest off here and put the tag title on him. So yeah, I love the vest. The vest looks great. Of course, Flyin Brian. I mean, that's exactly what they wore. Got the stars, everything. Looks really good. Like I said, this is righting a wrong. I love it. I think it's great. But yeah, I mean, Yellow Dog, going back to that, I don't know if that's something, like I said, it's a deep cut. John Tenta shaving half his head. Is that something we needed? I would say probably not, but I think it's awesome that we're getting it. And, again, those moments in time, right? I'm still kind of shocked we haven't got Avalanche, because I feel like because that was like the initial run out of WCW. If I remember right, he was Avalanche first. Oh, we got a paint scuff there. Can we get rid of it? Maybe. It looks like it's going to come off. Not a good place for it, right on the arm. So I guess if you're posing them like that, you wouldn't see it. But yeah, that kind of stinks. So what are you going to do? But Avalanche was definitely a not one I was expecting, but it would have been interesting to see that. But we're getting had half head shaved John Tenta, so I'd say anything's probably doable. There we go. Flyin Brian. I think he looks pretty good. Let's see if he stands up well. Like I said, these legs are a little off maybe, but overall, I can't complain. We got his clacker. TB Toycast, Flyin Brian Pillman. Take 246. Action. It didn't even make the sound. So disappointing. What are you going to do? But very cool. Very cool figure. Like I said, I'm all about give me all the Brian Pillmans. Give me his 97 look, of course. I would love an ECW look Pillman. Again, that's a little bit of a deep cut. The Yellow Dog would, I think, probably be the deepest cut. But Flyin Brian with the Bengal tights would obviously be a layup. We've gotten that in the past. I'd love to see it. So, who knows what can happen. Also, there was a period in 1997 where he was wearing a dress because he lost a match against Goldust. So, who's to say? Pillman in a dress, is that in the future? Probably not, but I'd pick it up. It's funny to me. So, again, Flyin Brian Pillman, getting him in the line. And also, how cool is it for Lexus King to get, for his debut figure in the Mattel line, to be in the same lineup with his dad? I think that's pretty cool. So good on Mattel for making that happen. Overall, this is a great figure. The hair might be a smidge off, but like I was saying before, I think I lost my train of thought there. I'm going to pull up this. I never really thought Pillman was like a blonde. It was always kind of that dirty, almost brown hair, maybe with some blonde highlights. Like if you look here, there's some blonde in there, but it's not really blonde. So I think they might have tried to lighten it up a little bit to try to make it work, because I never looked at him as a blonde. But it's just kind of a fun name, right? The Hollywood Blondes. And like I said, these two guys absolutely made it work. And I think if they had been left together, they could have been one of the greatest tag teams of all time. I said it, and I'm sticking to it. So I'm a huge fan of the Hollywood Blondes. Who would have thought what would have happened? Of course, Stone Cold Steve Austin obviously did pretty well for himself and became the biggest star in the history of the wrestling business at one point in time. So he did okay for himself. And if Pillman had been alive, I've often fantasy booked, like, man, imagine 1998, like if Pillman and Austin entered a feud, if Pillman had been healthy and, obviously still been alive, how that would have looked. I think that would have been huge. the things Pillman could have done, as the company started getting a little bit darker too, because obviously, as we know, he had no problem kind of pushing the envelope, and I think there could have been a lot of interesting stuff happen with Brian Pillman had he still been alive, because he was definitely in his prime, other than some serious injuries that kind of halted his in-ring career. But I think other than that, he would have done very, very well for himself. So it's unfortunate, but that is the way it goes sometimes. Of course, Flyin Brian Pillman, fantastic addition to the Elite line. Hope you guys enjoyed this as well. Make sure to check out some of my other videos. I'm dropping 3 unboxing videos every week, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Of course, this week you could check out on, I believe on Monday, was the Batman the Animated Series Two-Face figure from the McFarlane line. Really, really fun. And then Wednesday I unboxed from Hastel Toy and Grapplers and Gimmicks, Sean Mooney. So a must-have for any Hasbro fan out there. Who doesn't want a Sean Mooney figure? And actually, Hastel Toy, I know a bunch of figures are going to be sent out soon. I've got the new Rockers, the Brain Busters, Al Snow, and Rhino all coming to me very soon. And I just ordered one of the new Jake the Snakes, so that'll be fun to get as well. So a lot of cool stuff happening over there at Hastel Toy. Check him out at Hastel Toy, at Grapplers and Gimmicks, on Instagram, or I believe on Facebook or Twitter as well. So check that out. And then, of course, today, Flyin Brian Pillman. Also, check out What's on the Pegs. Check out what I'm finding out there on my toy hunts. I'm always checking out new stores, trying to find new stuff. So look for it. What's on the Pegs every Saturday. Always a lot of fun. Check out Tales of the Toy Box. I got 2 episodes currently up. I'm going to be dropping a new one in June. The first episode was all about G.I. Joe Street Fighter. Episode 2 was all about WWF Hasbro. Episode 3, I have decided what it's going to be. It is a good one, and I think you will enjoy it, so get ready for that. It will be dropping very, very soon on the TB Toycast YouTube channel. And, of course, check out the TB Toycast podcast every Thursday. We have a different main event where we discuss that line in depth, plus all the news and notes and happenings of the toy world on that particular week. So check that out wherever you get your podcast. That's it. That's all I got. Thank you guys for checking out the TB Toycast YouTube channel. That's Flyin Brian Pillman of the Hollywood Blondes. And we will see you in the toy aisle.
Yeah. One more time. It ain't over till I say it's over. So lock the cage up, cause this is a takeover. The wait's over. If this the final time we meet, then you'll be on your back on my feet. Then I'll tip the cage over as a hangover. I'm super fly so I can splash off the top. And I can shut down the shot.